Hello and welcome to our English 3293 course for the summer of 2020. The course is called Survey of American Literature, Realism to Present, but I just like to call it Modern American Literature because that's what we're going to be studying. Stuff that's after the Civil War all the way up through modern times. I want to start out with a little bit of an overview video for you so that you can get acquainted with what we're going to be doing during the semester. And hopefully you found this video because of the email I sent you or the announcement that I posted on Canvas. And in that email and in that announcement, I made sure that you knew where to get the syllabus. I attached the syllabus to the email and made sure you knew that the syllabus is up in our course shell for Canvas, and I'll be, of course, adding things to Canvas as the term goes on. It's not all preloaded in there. I've got to write up some assignments and get things going, but you'll see that throughout the course of the summer, things will be added in there as we go, and you'll have plenty of time to work a little bit ahead if you want. I don't like it when you work too far ahead, but you'll be able to work a little bit ahead to suit your lifestyle. After all, online courses are supposed to be flexible. They have good aspects and bad aspects, I know, and of course we've all been familiar with them this last semester, and hopefully we'll get through all of this and enjoy regular classes together, but hopefully you'll enjoy this one as well. I want to start off by talking to you a little bit about why I love American literature. I've been teaching American literature courses for since they started the country, it seems like. Some of my students will say I'm that old, but I'm not really that old. Certainly for 30 years I've been doing it, and my primary area of interest is actually early American literature, although I love modern American literature too, but my dissertation was in early American literature, and most of my publications have been in early American literature as well. But I actually studied with some modern American writers, actual writers, yep, that's right, and have enjoyed getting to know modern American writers throughout the years. Why do I love American literature so much? Because it's the story of, if you're an American, of course, us. It's our story, and it's a story that's told in many, many different voices from different perspectives. I find American culture and American history and American art very interesting because we are almost unique in the world as being a major, major country that's made up of so many different types of people with different stories to tell and different voices. I realize that in times past, people taught an American literature course, and it was a lot of dead white guys. I get that. But you know, the study of American literature has changed like the country has changed. And it's in my way of thinking, it's such a more interesting and rich pursuit than it was 100 years ago when hardly anybody read American writers. And you know, the names that you probably recognize and maybe love, like I do, Hawthorne and Edgar Allan Poe and people, and Louisa May Alcott and those kinds of people, which are great writers. But the great thing about modern American literature is that there are so many different people from different backgrounds and different stories to tell that it really becomes this wonderful mosaic or tapestry, or maybe the word I should use is a quilt in a way, right? A patchwork quilt. And if you study modern American literature, you learn a lot about who we are as a people. And if you're not from the United States, the course is I think, equally fascinating, because if you really want to get to know about American culture, study its literature, especially its modern literature. If you want to find out what it's like to be an American, well, you've got a lot of different takes on that question, and we're going to explore those as we go, okay? So that's why I like it. I think it's fascinating. It's always changing. We're such an interesting people because we're just made up of just all kinds of different threads, and that makes it endlessly fascinating to me. What do I hope that we'll achieve in the class? Well, number one, I want us to have an appreciation for and understanding of some of the literary traditions that we can identify in the country. What are the things that mark American literature and make it distinctive? How is American literature different from other literatures? You know, there are some people who would criticize American literature and say, you know, it's so different from writer to writer and year to year and era to era that there's no such thing as American literature. It's just this big hodgepodge of stuff. But I don't think that's true. I think we can find common themes, common issues, common questions that run throughout the country's literature from the beginning of time, of the beginning of our country's birth in many ways, and even predating that. I think no matter what country your family is from or what kind of background you have, a lot of what Americans write about, no matter who they are, is pretty similar in some way. So I want to achieve that for sure. What are the things that make American literature unique? What are the issues, the topics, the things that mark it as being something that's distinctly American? The second thing is, I hope you get to know these people, and I'll talk about that in a moment and how important that is, who these people are. I want you to walk out of the classroom, figuratively, of course, because we're online, with a feeling that I know some of the great writers of my country or of the United States if you're not from this country. I know some of the great writers, some writers maybe I've never read before, but I've heard what they have to say. I can appreciate who they are and where they come from and what they have to say about life and about society and about the human experience. I want us to achieve that. And of course, I also want us to have an opportunity to express ourselves in written discourse as well through some different assignments. Now, you'll notice that I did send you the syllabus, like I said, through the email. It's up on the Canvas, and I don't have it up in front of us, but I highly recommend that you pause here for a second, go get the syllabus if you can, put it in front of you so that I can point out a few things. I'm using the university template, which is absolutely horrible. For somebody who loves writing, to have to use a template is like torture, but they like you to do it, and I'm going to go ahead and bend with the wind and do that. But I want to point out just a few things about how primarily the course is being conducted. The first thing I want to talk about is textbooks. Now, the official textbook for the course, textbooks, there are two of them, are as follows. First of all, any edition of Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. That's a novel. It's one of her best novels, if not the best novel. I will give you a little heads up when we get there that it deals with some very serious and sometimes some very troubling subject matter, so be forewarned about that. But you can get any version of that you want to, and you're welcome to get it used as a paperback as well. Any version is fine. The Norton Anthology of American Literature, Shorter 9th Version, Volume 2, is pretty darn specific. But I am going to give you some liberty here and tell you that, honestly, the 9th edition of that and the 8th edition of that and the 7th edition of that has not really changed that much. I don't mind if you use a 7th or 8th or 9th edition. If you can find it on Amazon, if you a little bit cheaper used for one of the older ones, just make sure that you check the table of contents and make sure that everything we're reading out of the 9th edition is in your 7th or 8th or 6th editions, okay? Because they do change it. That's why they create new editions. But to be honest with you, they don't change it that much. They mostly change it so that they can make more money off of college students because you guys are floating in money, right? No, yeah, exactly. So I don't mind if you use one of the previous editions to save a little money. Go ahead and do it. But make sure that you check the table of contents before you buy it. And if it's missing something, you'll need to go out online and find an online version of that text. And that can sometimes be a little challenging because with modern American literature, depending on who you're looking at, some of that stuff's what we call copyrighted, right? Writers like to be paid for what they write, and sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't. So you're on your own with that. Don't mind. You do what you want to. How do we conduct the class on a day-to-day basis? Well, here's what we do. You have in a section of the syllabus, the print version that I attached, it's at the end. On the Canvas, it's in the middle of the syllabus, sort of a week-by-week listing of readings and major assignments. I don't like Canvas and the way they make me do it, but it's the way it is. So just try to find it. If you're confused, let me know. Here's how we conduct our week. You'll see week 1, which begins June the 1st. We have some readings. You want to do those readings prior to when I post our weekly YouTube lecture on this YouTube channel. One will go up every week on Wednesday. Can't tell you what time of day on Wednesday. Usually like to do it in the morning. Sometimes I'm having a bad day and it takes me a long time. Sometimes the interwebs doesn't want to cooperate with me, so it takes a little bit. But Wednesday is the day I do it. I try to do it as early as I can. And here's what I do. I post the online lecture, and I'm assuming that you have read the material for that week by the time you view my lecture. You should. Immediately after the lecture, you will be told what your quiz questions are for that week. Okay? Usually I'll put it in the video. Sometimes I don't put it at the end because people like to go straight to the end and get the quiz and not listen to my brilliant lectures. That's no good. That's naughty. Don't do that. Okay? But sometime in the video or some way, I will communicate to you what the quiz questions are. Usually 3 questions, sometimes 4. And you need to email me the answers to those quiz questions to my Yahoo email account. It's alfredlitton@yahoo.com. Only use that one for the course, if you would please, because all the work that I do for the honors program at TWU, which is my day job, goes to my TWU account, and your email will get lost in there, and I don't want to lose that. So I always divide out my emails for the course I'm teaching. They go to my Yahoo account. All the other honor stuff that I do go to, all that stuff goes to my TWU account, okay? So you'll send your quizzes to the Yahoo account right afterwards, no later than midnight on Thursday, the next day, okay? So you don't have to send it immediately after viewing the video. You might not get around to viewing the video until, say, Thursday morning. That's fine. But you need to send me those quiz answers by Thursday at midnight. And if we have, as we will most weeks, a discussion topic on Canvas, you'll need to have contributed to that discussion post in whatever way I specify by Thursday at midnight as well. So Wednesday's an important day. Sometime on Wednesday you need to be, and I'll always email you saying, lessons up, go for it, guys. You'll need to go, having read the material, view the video. Usually they're about a half hour or no more than a half hour. So sometimes I have to have 2 parts, okay? So sometimes it is a little bit longer. After that, answer the quiz question and then dive right into the discussion topic, making sure that you've done all that by Thursday at midnight. Why do I not spread it out during the week? Because it's a literature class and you need time to read, okay? For the most part, most of the time, big assignments, I have them due on Mondays so that you have the weekend. Some of you guys have jobs, and so just budget your time. There's no one's happy with whatever day of the week I put due dates on. They always wanted a different date, but Mondays usually work best for most people. It gives you a little bit of extra time. So that's how we normally conduct it. If you have questions or need assistance, what you need to do is make sure you email me to my Yahoo account, okay? I check my email very regularly, each day, multiple times a day generally. I will answer back to you as quickly as I can. If I get slammed with a whole lot of emails asking the same question, what I usually do is I stop answering individually and I just send everybody the answer, okay? Just makes it a lot faster, okay? So always check your email inbox because I may have answered you individually, or I may have said, ooh, yeah, everybody's asking the same question. I better tell everybody this, okay? And it'll come to you by email that way as well, okay? So primarily our courses conducted that way on a day-to-day basis. We have several assignments that we'll have during the semester, but none of them I think will be these big, giant, weighty, massive term paper type things. We're going to have quizzes. Quizzes are worth 20%, I believe I weighted them. Discussion is worth 15%, if I recall correctly. We have 2 reader response papers. What's a reader response paper? You'll find out more a little bit later on, but they're non-researched papers of about 3-4 pages in length, double-spaced, right? That whole thing, what you learned in composition class, about a work or works, and I will give you a choice of topics and ask you to persuade me or others about your position using evidence from the text to support your view on that topic. You'll see more about it later, but it's non-researched. So you don't have to have access to secondary sources to do it. They're shorter. I prefer 2 shorter pieces rather than one big, long, hairy one that requires 20 sources, okay? I just prefer that. We will have a comprehensive final examination, and that will be worth 30% as well. I think I put down that the quizzes are worth 25%. I've forgotten. It's not in front of me. I'm hoping it's in front of you. But comprehensive in that we'll have 4 questions that I'll put out there for you to consider. And we'll talk about them as the semester goes on a little bit. A bank of 4 questions from which I will select 2. Okay, 2 essay questions, and you'll be given a specified period of time right at the end of the semester to complete that and submit those to my email as well, okay? Those will be essay-based and comprehensive, and they'll deal with like big questions, okay? You'll see when you get the bank, there'll be 4 questions possible. You'll want to study all 4 of those and prepare for all 4 of those. You don't know which 2 I'm going to ask, and I don't either until the day I ask them, okay? And you'll be given a specified period of time, usually 48 hours, to finish that. I don't want to give you like a whole week, because then you'll send something that's 30 pages long, and I don't want you doing that. So we'll give you more information about that, but it's comprehensive. It's going to be asking you to draw on the whole semester. So think big, broad, thought questions that ask you to maybe bring in works and ideas from different writers from the whole semester. Okay, so nothing really big and hairy. This is not a course that is designed primarily for literature majors. If you are a literature or English major, then fine. If you're not, this course is just fine for you. You don't have to worry that, I need to be an English major and I need to have read all this. I assume you have read almost nothing on this, okay? And the kinds of assignments we do are something that you could do if you never majored in English or never took anything other than maybe a basic writing class, okay? So how to do your best and learn the most. The first things first is stay on top of the schedule and the week by week schedule of the semester, because it's very easy to kind of get into sort of get out of your rhythm on it. But remember the important days of the week. The way to look at it is I read until Wednesday, I listen to the lecture on Wednesday, I respond to the quiz and the discussion prompt before Thursday at midnight, and then Friday and the rest of the weekend all the way up through the next Wednesday, I'm reading again. Okay, or working on papers. You want to get in that rhythm, okay? The second thing is that you don't want to miss a lot of quizzes. If you miss 1 or 2, you're going to probably be okay, because I usually offer 1 or 2 extra credit options, right? You can pick up a few points extra credit-wise on quizzes. I'll give you a bonus question here every now and then. I do not do the makeup thing on quizzes. It's insane. It's impossible online. So I figure that if you give people some extra credit opportunities, if they miss 1 or 2 or they get off to a bad start, well, then they'll be fine if they pick up the extra credit opportunity. The quizzes are basically very straightforward. They're like, if I were teaching the 3 Little Pigs, I would ask a question like, what are the materials that the houses are built of in the story of the 3 Little Pigs? It's just factual things, okay? Not subjective for the most part. It's mostly factual questions. It's basically, did you read it? Okay, that's you can count on that. Now, some of them you may need to read pretty closely, but if you read it and you read it closely and you weren't drinking excessively and you were not pulling an all-nighter, you'll remember what the answers are to those questions and you'll be able to respond just fine. So stay up with it. Make sure that you keep up with the reading. Do not be tempted to go online and read summaries of these works. Number one, most of them are written by real morons, and so they really don't know what they're talking about. Number 2, they're filled with errors, I should say, and inaccuracies. I mean, just downright, like, the Scarlet Letter is, about an accountant in New York. No, it's not. We're not reading the Scarlet Letter, but you get my idea there. They're filled with errors and inaccuracies, and they're poorly written, and they're very shallow, and you don't want to bother with that. Plus, you're going to miss the fun of reading it. I have not given you too much each week to do. At the most, maybe 3 short stories. At the most, maybe 4 or 5 poems plus a short story, something like that. One week, we do have the novel. We have one novel. It's Toni Morrison. As I said, it's towards the end of the semester, both because it's newer, and I'm trying to go sort of roughly chronologically, and also because I want to give you time to read it. My recommendation is, if you want to get a jump start on anything, start reading the novel, Toni Morrison, a couple of weeks before it's due. Because it's not a lengthy novel, but if you're concerned about budgeting your time, that's probably one I would try to get a head start on. I don't think you should try to read more than about a week ahead. I really don't. Because then if you read it all at once and, sometime in August, you won't remember what you read, or it won't be fresh in your mind and those kinds of things. But if you want to read ahead a little bit by about a week, and especially when we get to the novel, so that you don't feel, oh my gosh, I've got all this writing to do and all this reading to do and I'm overwhelmed, and then that's probably a pretty good idea. So budget your time. The final thing I will say about, and this kind of ties into how to do your best and learn the most, is this. This sounds kind of dramatic. Sorry, I'm not a big drama queen. Well, yeah, I am. But I really sincerely believe what I'm about to tell you. And that is, some of these writers are still alive, but most of the ones we're reading have passed on. Okay? And when you devote yourself to a career in writing, you sometimes people make a lot of money, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're famous, most of the time they're not. Many people are not famous or their works aren't widely read until well after they've died. So why would you do it? You do it because you love what you're writing and you're interested in what you have to say, and you hope other people find it interesting too. But I also want you to think in these terms. For many of these writers, this either is or will be what they leave the world. These pages, these thoughts, these experiences are their lives. And maybe their lives are really different from yours. You still can learn from them. Maybe their experiences are better, worse than yours, don't know. But they decided this is what they wanted to do with their lives. That they wanted to leave people like you. People like you. They didn't know you, but they knew you would come. And they knew you would be after them. And they knew you would read. And they have something to say to you about life, about happiness and joy and sadness, and being a part of a fabric of a society. And those things are valuable. So I want you to approach this, and this is no exaggeration, folks. I want you to approach this with a sense of reverence and a sense of respect that this is what they gave their lives to do. This is how they spent the one and only life you're given in this world. And their words matter. There's something in each one of these that's a nugget, that's a value to you, that can change your life and your perspective. You might say, I have nothing in common with this person. What in the world can they teach me? But I promise you they can if you will simply open your mind and open your heart to it and ask yourself, before you pick it up, this writer wrote something and spent hours, days, months, years of her or his life doing this. Why did they do it? What were they trying to tell me? Because they will speak to you across the decades and across the years with something very valuable if you will give them the chance. So that's kind of, okay, I'm getting kind of deep and philosophical, I know, but sometimes we need to do that in life because that is what life is about. They're trying to tell you, stop. It's not all about rushing to my appointment and making sure I get my oil changed on my car and making a living and paying my rent. Yeah, those are important things. But these writers are here to talk to you about life and what it means. And sometimes they say, I don't have the answers to what life means. I just know this much about that subject, and I want to share it with you. So open yourself up to that and be willing to consider what they have. Some of the things they're going to say you don't like, you're not going to like. Some of the things that they're going to say or show you, you're going to say, my gosh, that's so disturbing, or that's really, I'm uncomfortable with that. That's what their job is. Let them do their job. You do your job. Keep an open mind and try to learn from their experience. I think we're going to have a great summer. I certainly am looking forward to it. I want you to know that you can always reach out to me and ask me any questions or get help from me. One of the things I do want to point out in our syllabus, I should have done this earlier, is that if you need assistance from our disability support services folks, you go ahead and do that. Make sure you reach out to them and contact them about any accommodation. Even if there weren't an Americans with Disabilities Act, I would be willing to accommodate you to help you, because I'm all about trying to get you to succeed in life as well as this course. So all those other guidelines, please do read them in the syllabus. They're important, especially about things like academic dishonesty and all Title IX and all of those things that are important in there. I know it seems like bureaucratic junk, but do read it. But most importantly, remember that I'm here for your success, and that's what I want to be a part of. I want to be a contributor to your success, and that's what the class is about. Hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I think we're going to have a great time. Reach out to me if you need some help, and be looking for our first lecture on or about Wednesday of that first week of the term. Thanks.